So we are headed to Bathurst for the Bathurst 500. This will be our third camp in 3 months for 2024, heading along our goal to do 12 in 12 months. So it all started on Friday morning. We're heading up this afternoon. First thing was to fire up the fridge in the car, so we needed to get that temperature down much lower, but started it running all day. And then we moved over to my mum's house and we started chopping up some firewood. So I saw some wood from my brother's place, and mum obviously has a lot of wood lying around, but we got to chopping that up with my fairly small chainsaw. So it took quite a while, but we got through it eventually and got lots of small pieces ready for the fire that we'd need, mainly for cooking when we got up to the mountain. Mum's dog Zoe, and that one there's Misty.
Misty, come over here.
So this is on the way to Bathurst. We were following a very smoky ute across the Bells Line of Road, which starts at Currajong and works its way down to Lithgow. And you can hear in the background there me talking. Oh, there it goes. Smoking its way up the hill. You can hear my son in another car talking to us on the two-way radio. You can also see there the sticker that we have to place on the car when we get to the check-in point that lets them know that we've paid already for our campsite ticket. So now we're at the entrance and the check-in point where they go through your car and check if you've got a certain amount of alcohol. You can't take bottles in. So they do a check for a few other things and then let you on your way through. So we did have to set up in the dark when we got there, but luckily we had lots of light and a fire set up and cooked an amazing dinner of butter chicken and rice over the fire pit that night. The next morning, this was the sunset over Skyline at Mount Panorama, and this is Tarn showing us the Bathurst 500 wristbands that were our access pass to the campsite and track across the weekend. Now this video just gives you a glimpse of our campsite setup. We had 2 cars, one with a canopy setup. We had 2 gazebos up and 2 medium-sized swag tents for the 4 of us. As you can see here, the gazebo in the distance is right on the track, so we managed to secure a great campsite for this event, literally 60 seconds from the track. We also had our mini fire pit set up to cook breakfast and dinner on. The temperature was moderate, so we didn't really need the fire for much warmth, just for cooking. Now we're over at the track early in the morning before racing has started even, and this shot gives a little bit more perspective on how close our campsite was to the track. There's some gazebos that people have left overnight, so they don't have the roofs on them yet until they come back, but just over there where the orange D-Max is where our campsite is with the 2 gazebos, so very close to the track, which was super handy. We could just walk back whenever we needed something. Showing a little bit more footage of the scene from where we parked ourselves on day 1 to watch the race from. And you can see here the beautiful view down to the bottom of the mountain here at Mount Panorama. So another great advantage of this section of the top of the mountain is the big screen, which means we can keep an eye on what's happening on the rest of the track and in the pits on race day, and also we could hear the race commentary, which was great as well. You see these flags flying, the TV race coverage common sight on the top of the mountain. Notably, there are no Holden flags anymore since they're no longer participating in the V8 supercars. This footage will give you an idea of the speed as the Dunlop Super Series cars fly across Brock Skyline. So you saw their cars flying off through the sand trap. That became a common occurrence throughout the weekend, and there's another video we've uploaded that I'll share in the description that shows a compilation of every car we were able to capture getting loose through this section of the track. These are the Aussie racing cars, which include the Ford Falcons, Holden Commodores, Toyota Orions, the GT Mercs, Camaros and Mustangs. But all of these cars are actually half the size, or approximately half the size of their full-size versions in each make. Then in between races you have the on-track and in-the-sky entertainment. This is a Chevy C10 smoking its tyres up across Skyline. We're midway through the second day, which was Saturday. We decided to head down in the car to the bottom of the mountain. After a quick bag check, we arrived at the tickets checkpoint, but because we already had our wristbands from the campground access, we could head straight through. All the workers here are volunteers at the track, so always show them some gratitude. They're here doing a job without any pay at all.
Actual tickets or just go through?
This was the first time I've been at Bathurst for well over 10 years after camping on the mountain just over 10 times. This is Tarn's first time at the mountain. For an event anyway, we drove around the track together on a drive back from Adelaide to Sydney. This 888 Mercedes AMG GT3 car was the 6th place finisher in last weekend's Bathurst 12-hour race. This entry was piloted by Brock Feeney and Will Brown from the V8 Supercars and Canadian driver Mikael Grenier. We considered coming up last weekend, but decided on coming the week after to the 12 hours, so we could have a slightly quieter weekend with a few less people. We then found out that access to the pit paddock didn't require a paid paddock ticket, luckily enough, at this event, which is the first time I've been at Bathurst and haven't required to pay to enter the paddock. That was a bit of a surprise to be able to access the area behind pit lane this weekend, and a real eye-opener for those in the group that hadn't been in this exclusive area before. So we headed up the lift to the top of the walkway that crosses the track. The lift is definitely a bonus if you have a person like we did with Tarn with mobility issues in your group. Very handy. So if you take a sharp right after the walkway, you end up on this level 2 walkway that goes along behind the corporate boxes in pit lane. This is a great view of the behind the pits area, and obviously a great view of the Mount Panorama sign, which is a must when you come to see the Mount. What you can see here, this is each racing team's semi-trailer. Underneath the walkway is the spot behind each team's pit garage, where you can line up to meet the drivers and get autographs signed. Also over the back there you can see the white marquees, which is where the support category cars are kept when they are not racing. So down on ground level again in the paddock, we went for a long walk around. We did see the odd celebrity. We didn't catch it on camera, but Steve Waugh, a big hero of mine, walked past just a few seconds prior to filming this. You can see here the amount of tyres each team gets access to on a race weekend. You see here a queue of people waiting for autographs. Some of the lines get very long depending on who the drivers and the teams are. This is the at-track coverage team filming an interview with a few race fans that you could watch on the big screens around the track throughout the race. As you can see here, you can look straight into each of the team garages, see the cars being worked on, see the drivers talking to their team engineers and mechanics. Quite a sight if you haven't been in the paddock of a race meet before. Obviously this is much busier on Bathurst 12-hour weekends and the Bathurst 1000 weekend. I remember seeing on the coverage last weekend the queue to see Valentino Rossi, who was in the race, was at least 100 metres long. This is the Erebus Motorsport Carrier, a team that's had lots of drama at the start of this 2024 Supercars season. Here's the well-known team owner, Betty Klemenko, doing an autograph signing session. I think that might be Brad Tremaine, the team principal, on her right just there. Here's Chaz Mostert having a chat with some people. Not too sure if they were fans or family or team members there. And this is the official 2024 Supercars Championship calendar, of which this is round 1 of the season. Definitely get along to one of these events if you haven't been before and you do get the opportunity to go. Here's some behind the scenes of me filming on our DJI gimbal and iPhone. That's what we're using to shoot all our videos so far. Then we moved upstairs to the viewing platform, which is actually on top of the corporate boxes. From here we watched race 2 of the V8 Super Ute series. These utes, or trucks as they're called in the US, are fun to watch, especially the red and white utes you can see there, which are Isuzu D-Maxes. So obviously our favourites. This is Raul Harris entering the pits after an on-track incident. He definitely wasn't a happy camper. He did spend the rest of the race watching proceedings on the big screen, which was behind us on the rooftop. He was chatting with Chad Naylor, the V8 Supercars commentator, and Tarn managed to catch his funny footage of him flipping the bird to who we're guessing was the person involved in the incident that forced him out of the race. On the way out of the paddock near what's called Merchandise Alley now, there are these 2 cars that we saw, the Porsche and the Chevy C10 Ute that we saw burning up the mountain. or a pickup truck as it's called in the States. And then on the other side of that walkway was the Mobile One Ford Mustang V8 supercar, and Chaz Mostert's car, and Cam Waters' Mustang as well. We then took a walk to the Red Bull Ampol Racing merchandise tent because Tarn wanted to purchase a shirt for her favourite team. They had loads of cool gear, but be warned, things were quite expensive in there. Then we headed up to the top of the mountain again for more on-track action. We then watched the Touring Car Masters race, which was some of the sport's most iconic muscle cars, from the Falcon GTs to the Boss Mustangs, Chevrolet Camaros, Chrysler Chargers, Holden Monaros, the Holden Tiranas, the Porsche 911, RSs, Pontiacs, Ford Capris, and many more. It was really awesome to see these vintage race cars from yesteryear still in combat today.
Comes up in straight line, but then it holds position into the corner. This is a great drive from Jamie Tilley. He's a really talented young guy.
And that brings us to the end of part 1 of this video. In part 2, we'll bring you more of this camp, obviously the V8 supercars, and a sample of the live stream that we did from the top of Mount Panorama. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, give this video the thumbs up, leave a comment and let us know what you think of this trip so far, and click the bell notification icon so you get notified when we upload part 2 in a few days' time. You don't want to miss that.